Hey guys, KP Jax. Today is November 20th. It's about a week and a half, whatever it is, since my accident, since that drunk driver decided to hit me. I still don't know what the police are doing about it. I tried to get a hold of the officer who took care of, all the stuff, and I haven't been able to. Insurance, my USA insurance has been amazing. They have taken care of every little thing that I could even have thought of. The only thing I didn't get was a rental car, and that's only because I don't have it on my policy. The other guy, the owner of that vehicle, had only liability on his car. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. The other guy only had liability on his car, and Florida only requires 10,000 liability, so that really wouldn't have covered anything because my Silverado was valued at over $15,000 anyway, so that would have completely wiped everything out. So USAA totaled out my truck, totaled out the other guy's car, obviously. I mean, they had to cut the roof off and the doors off and everything, but totaled out my truck. I was able to get some things out of it, like my alarm system that I just installed, and my stereo system that I just installed, and just all my stuff. The only thing I didn't get out of it was my full tank of gas that I just put in it. So I've been test driving vehicles all week, and I've been to several dealerships here in Jacksonville, and I hate shopping for cars, and most of the dealers nowadays, they don't even want to haggle with you. They don't even, they tell you that that's the price, but you and I both know well and good that they don't pay that. Whatever that sticker is, that is not what they paid for that vehicle. So clearly they have a markup. And so with that markup, I know that there's probably a 10, 20, 30% markup. So of course I'm going to haggle. And it's typically what I do when I'm looking for a vehicle is, let's say the vehicle is $40,000. What I'll do is I'll come in about 30% lower. And I know it's kind of a jerk kind of move. It's kind of I wouldn't say low ball, but so I do that, and then they'll come back with a number, and then I'll come back with a number. And that's how you start haggling and actually working on a price towards what you get. So I went to Arlington Toyota here in Jacksonville. Saw a very nice salesman. He was great, very polite, seemed to be very, very honest and whatnot. But they didn't want to budge on the price. They came down like $300 off of their cost, or off of the sticker price. $300, really. I went to CarMax, and their whole policy is no haggle. They don't haggle at all. So the Tundra that I looked there had a bunch of rust damage, all over the bottom of it, because it came from like Michigan or something like that, and according to the Carfax, and the rust on it wasn't surface rust. It was deep rust. So I'm not gonna pay $30,000 for a vehicle that has rust damage. It needs to be grinded off and resealed and painted. That's not gonna happen. I went to another place, several Auto Nation places, several vendors that are part of the Auto Nation, and nobody. I mean, everyone. This whole vehicle holds its value is bullcrap, because when I wanted to sell my vehicle and it was in great shape, they would lowball me to the point where it was rude. I mean, you go around and you see these vehicles selling at the dealers. Example, my Silverado, my truck that was just wrecked. I went around and I found a few dealers that had the exact same make and model truck, make, model, year. The 2010 Silverado 1500. They all had roughly about the same amount of miles. And they wanted, $23,000, $24,000, $25,000 on the lot for those vehicles. However, when I took my truck there, they would offer me $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, and knowing good and well that if I sold it to them, they're going to switch right around and sell it for $25,000 or $25,000, which happened in my Colorado when I had it several years ago. I sold it to a guy. I traded it for my Silverado, and he gave me, I want to say $9,000 or $10,000 for it, something like that. And I got a call a few weeks later because he tried to sell it. Nobody's offering him what he bought it for from me. But when I looked up online on his website, he was trying to sell it for like $28,000. I mean, it was disgusting, the markup. I mean, he almost tried to triple what he bought it from me for. So that just tells me that, dealers are not out to help you, even though they say they are. So with that being said, what I have decided on, after many, many hours of homework, many test drives, many hours of talking to people who own them, browsing many forums, looking on many, many recalls, trying to, find information, because I don't just jump into a vehicle, willy-nilly trying to do that. But I have settled on a 2013 Toyota Tundra Crew Max. So let me tell you about the Crew Max. This thing is a beast. It's got a 5.7 engine. I believe it's the I-Force is what Toyota calls their engines. This thing is huge inside, and I'll show you that later. But the cab is actually larger. It's the largest cab I've seen in any vehicle, with from the F-250 to the Tundra Crew to the Silverado, even the 2500 Silverados, to the 1500 Silverados, to the Nissan Titans. And it's quiet. You can kind of hear the engine a little bit, but it's quiet for the most part. But excuse me, it has been an awesome truck. I've only had it for a couple of days now. I test drove it 3 times. Even had other friends check it out just to make sure. Checked out the CarMax, checked out the Carfax, checked out everything. Had one owner from Virginia or something. Routinely maintained it at dealerships for oil changes and all that stuff. And so the first thing that I did was install my dash cam. Again, it's right here, right above this camera actually. And I've test driven it. I've brake checked it. I've checked everything out, and it seems to be the truck for me. So I went in and I haggled for a week and a half. And the key thing about haggling is you have to be willing to walk away, because they're going to say no sometimes. But you can't get what you want unless you ask. A friend of mine was wanting an old Ford Ranger, but they don't make them here in the U.S. anymore. I was talking to a friend who was just stationed over in Europe, and the Ford Ranger's making a big comeback over there. It's a small truck. It's a small pickup. It's not a midsize. And so my friend here, he's like, how am I supposed to get one of these trucks if nobody's selling them, or, if they're 10 years old, because they stopped making them back in like 2008, 2009. You're finding them with 200,000 miles on them, and they still want, $10,000 for them. Like, well, if you see somebody driving one, if you're at the grocery store, ask the driver, hey, I'm interested in buying your truck. Would you be willing to sell it? Just kind of know the general value and ask. When I had my Tacoma, 10 years ago, I had my old Nissan SE sitting in the driveway for a little while, and somebody actually drove by, and the guy offered me $1,500 cash. So I just made up a bill of sale real quick using Google, and he bought my truck from my driveway for $1,500. I mean, it was a 1989, so I mean, it was already 10, 15 years old, and $1,500 for something I only paid $1,000 for. It's a no-brainer. So back to the Tundra. So on my Silverado, I had to put in aftermarket stereo and aftermarket alarm, because in my Silverado, Chevy for some reason wouldn't let you use your Bluetooth unless you subscribe to OnStar for that vehicle. I couldn't just sync my phone up. So I had to buy an aftermarket radio with built-in Bluetooth and go that route. This time, the stock radio appears to have Bluetooth, which is awesome because hands-free is a necessity. You know, they should like go back and modify old vehicles with it. Hands-free is an absolute necessity and safety because you don't have to have your phone in your hand, so you're not wanting to search Facebook or search other websites or text or watch videos or just do stupid crap. There was a guy the other day that we saw. We're driving down the road. This dude had a drink in one hand, his phone in the other hand, like this. And the cat, no joke, had a snake, a pet snake around his freaking neck, driving down the road. And he probably almost got into like 10 accidents. And we just watched him as he would drift from one lane to the other, trying to manage his phone and his drink. And like, they make these holes in your car called cup holders. You should use them. So I settled on that. I mean, that was one of the key things. I mean, I know it's stupid, but Bluetooth, I could drive a junk car, but as long as it's got Bluetooth for hands-free, that is a major selling point. So I settled with the Tundra, and this thing is huge. I mean, I can't even reach, like if I sat in the middle, I can't reach window to window. My arm span isn't big enough. It's got a huge amount of storage from up top, the consoles, everything. One of the key things that I had to look at was, you know, I got kids and I'm still running, you know, car seats, unfortunately. So, and these things are not small. I mean, you can see them right there. They're huge because they need to keep your kids safe. And so a major selling point on the Crew Max for the Tundra, so the cabin is bigger, right? You can actually adjust the back seat. It can slide forward several inches, probably about 6 inches. So if you want to keep something behind the seat, but you can also recline the seats. So if you're going on trips, when I'm done with car seats, when you're going on trips, the truck isn't insanely uncomfortable, and you're not just sitting straight up and down in the back. You are, you know, you have the ability to recline. So that's awesome. Now the Tundra doesn't get amazing gas mileage. My Silverado was a little bit better. I think it was like 15 miles on the Tundra or something, 15 miles a gallon, and then like 17 or 18 on the highway. But it's just going to depend. I know my Silverado had flex fuel, which means if you were on cruise control, it would adjust, you know, it would adjust two of the pistons to not fire on Dunkin', to be more efficient. I just made an order and I didn't want to record it. But apparently Dunkin' Donuts, the one that I routinely go to, well, not routinely, I try to go just on Sundays. The one that I go to, apparently they run out of a lot of stuff. So like 1 week they were out of sausage, 1 week they were out of cheese. A couple times they've been out of croissants. Today they're out of mocha. That's just, you know, something you put in your coffee. So I just had to, you know, order something for my daughter's on the way to church, and try not to get into an accident as I drive and record. That's why we have mounts. So shopping around for cars and everything is not a fun thing. It should be, like, you know, going out and buying vehicles should be like an amazing experience. You would think the sales would like schmooze you. I mean, you're going out and spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $100,000 on something that will, you know, basically is a horse and buggy, essentially. I mean, get you from A to B. But they're built right, you know, like my Silverado saved my life after that accident. I guess saved my life during the accident, essentially. But so you want to make sure that you do your homework on your vehicles. So I looked up the Tundra left and right. I looked up all the vehicles. I test drove a Ram 1500. I test drove the Tundra. I test drove F-250, F-150, other Dodges. I stayed away from Chrysler. I hate Chrysler. I just don't like them. I test drove several vehicles, all trucks, because I'm not anytime soon going back to a car. and I haven't been in a car. I haven't driven a car as far as my own personal vehicle for 10 years at least. Just I like being in a truck. I feel that they're made better, but I like being above cars physically because you can see over them. There have been many times where I've avoided accidents simply because I saw it coming. I could see the car stopped on the side of the road, you know, halfway between the shoulder and the street, and I could tell that, you know, this guy in front of me is on his cell phone. He's not going to see that, and so I move over, you know, 30 seconds before he does, and I slow down, and then have people jerk the wheel, move over in front of me, you know, I mean, and I know that they're going to do it because I'm simply paying attention. So that's one thing that I, you know, had to look out for. But it's nice being above traffic, and knowing, you know, that you can kind of see stuff coming. You can see at least brake lights through the front windshield of the other guy. So you can avoid accidents. So with that, I just want to make this video to say, you know, luckily I'm okay. My father's okay. Thanks to God. Thanks to the manufacturers of the airbags. Although the airbag on my Silverado was in a recall, and my local dealer, George Moore Chevrolet, sent me a letter, and what it said is, your thing is on a recall. Don't worry about it. We're working on getting parts, but we don't have them, so don't do anything. Luckily, I didn't get shrapnel to the face or something like that. So that's what I want to say. You know, I'm okay. My dad's okay. He did have to have an X-ray and a CAT scan, and they said that, you know, he had some torn ligaments in his neck or in his back, and they gave him some medication. Said he's going to be sore probably for a couple weeks. And that's that. So I'm at church now. I run the soundboard and fix the computers and all that for Atlantic Beach Assembly of God here in Atlantic Beach, Florida. If you want to check out their website, it's lttb.org. And you may or may not see me. Usually I'm the guy behind the camera, so, you know, anything going on, you normally don't see me. But that's that. We're okay. I don't know what's happening to the driver of the other vehicle. So do your homework. Drive safe. If you have to drink and drive, call Uber, call a taxi, walk home, go to your car and just sleep. Put the keys away and just sleep it off in the parking lot, whatever. Don't put somebody's life at risk. I thankfully was in a truck that was bigger than the vehicle that hit me. Had I been in a car, I'd probably be dead. Usually the drunk driver is the one who lives, and the victim is the one who dies, because the drunk driver is so relaxed from the alcohol. And I don't know what that cat's doing. I don't even know. I mean, he could still be in the hospital for all I know. I don't know. I hope he lived. I hope he's okay. I hope it changed his outlook and his decision making. I don't know. I mean, I can't really speak for him. So, but that said, I'm going to let you go before I just continue rambling. And I'll hit you guys up later. See you next time.